Members of the Kyari family, led by Malam Nuruddin Kyari, you're all welcome to this occasion. We have our special invited guests this morning, starting with the distinguished guests of honor. We have two distinguished guests of honor who have arrived for this great occasion. Number one on the list is His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Umar Zulum, ably represented by the Chief of Staff, Government House Affairs, Borno State, Professor Issa Mate Hussein. Please a round of applause for him. We also have another distinguished invited guest in our midst, no other person, the incorruptible, transparent, and one of the most accountable Nigerian, a picture of Mr. President in office, His Excellency Colonel Hamid Ibrahim Ali, retired, the Controller General of Customs. So you're welcome. Chairman, Security and Exchange Commission, and Mr. Abdul Kabir Adisa Aliu, the CEO of Matrix Energy, who will be serving as the book presenters this morning. So you are all welcome. We also have the representative of the Chief of Naval Staff. The Chief of Naval Staff, the Vice Admiral I.E. Ibas, is here represented by the Chief of Policy and Plans of the Nigerian Navy, Rear Admiral M.A. Emu Ekwere. So you are welcome. He will be joined briefly by other service chiefs who have been invited to attend this occasion. As we proceed, we will continue to introduce other guests. I will now hand over to the master of ceremony for this occasion, who will lead us in the national anthem, and I will go into the cross of the event. We promise we're not going to take much of your time. We thank you for coming, and briefly we'll have the chairman of this occasion. We'll have the host, the Right Honorable Dr. Sam Ode, for his speech. After that, we'll move to the chairman of the occasion, and we'll take other speeches, and we'll go straight to the event, so that those of you who have traveled from very far places, you can return back to your family. We appreciate you all. Thank you for coming.
Members of the Abba Kyari family, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My name is Professor Issa Mate Hussein. I am the Chief of Staff to His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Umar Zulum, MNI, and Fellow of Nigerian Society of Engineers. I want to tender his apology, and he also, most of his education, especially undergraduate education, was done in England, both BA Sociology as well as law, before he came to Nigeria. And he was a typical technocrat. He excelled in all the different disciplines or organizations he found himself. He was people's person. But the people of Borno State loved him, and we still love him dearly, because he had, during his tenure as Chief of Staff, helped Borno State, he helped Nigeria, and also, I would say, other countries as well. So we really missed him. Abba Kyari, some people say, was a controversial person. He wasn't. He was just doing his job. And as a Chief of Staff of a governor in my state, I know what it takes to be a Chief of Staff. And can you imagine multiplying that by 1,000 times to be a Chief of Staff of Mr. President? And there are certain qualities that one must have to really be an excellent chief of staff. And Abba Kyari had all of those. One important quality is dedication to his job. He had that. But the most important one is loyalty to your boss. And that loyalty, it must be total, not 95%, not 80%, total 100 or and above. And he had that, and he served Mr. President perfectly, and people who tried to really get to Mr. President, or they had their own agenda, they found that Abba Kyari was there. They could not ban him. That's why, people said, oh, he was controversial. He was just doing his job. And that's exactly what I'm doing too. I learned a lot from him because I am committed to my boss. I am loyal to my boss. There is no way who will come through me to my boss. It will not happen. And that's exactly what Abba Kyari did to Mr. President. And he served Mr. President very well. Believe me, before Abba Kyari, if you asked me to name the former chief of staff, I couldn't name anyone. Because I spent most of my time in the US before coming here. But after Abba Kyari, now I'm paying attention to chief of staff. And I know Professor Gambari now. So from there, at least now he has set a certain standard that chief of staffs must follow. Total loyalty and commitment to the office of chief of staff. So we are proud of him. And lastly, I would like to really express our profound gratitude to the organizers of this great event, and then the author of this book, even though I've not read the book, but I know it's going to be a wonderful book. And for those of you who have time to come here, thank you very much. I know someone will do that. But from the people of Borno State, we really appreciate it. We have lost a great son, and Nigeria has lost a great technocrat. Thank you.
Gentlemen, it gives me a great pleasure to be here this morning for an occasion that is ought to be solemn. Solemn in the sense that we have lost a friend, a brother, and a father, and someone that will live for long, remembering the road he has passed through. Today, to some of us who have been very close to Abba Kyari, it's a day of mourning. Because anytime you have the chance to get either alone or with a group of people to remember someone, we are here to honor posthumously a friend and a brother, someone that has done so much. And like the book reviewer mentioned, there are a lot of things that I've known over the years, that anyone that pass or take up the challenges of passing through the road, our passage of credibility, honesty, and integrity, you end up being the most controversial and most misunderstood person. And that's what Mala Abba is today. He has passed through that path, and in the course of passing through that path, you all will agree with me that you have to rough some edges. And that's what has happened. In the course of his life, as a private citizen, and of course when he found himself in government, it has to be rough. Rough in the sense that when you choose to say no to the wrong thing, when you choose to only say yes to the right thing, the chances are that you have around you a lot of controversies and of course a lot of enemies. And I'm saying it because Abba, whom I know very closely for the past 20 or 22 so years, is someone that do not hold back his views. Abba is someone that he is ready to take up a fight when you decide to deviate from the norms. He's someone that we know, being very close to him, that he does not take no for an answer. It is therefore my great pleasure to be here, to appreciate this man, and also indulge on all of you to not only read the book, but read it with the sense of understanding what the quality of the man is, what he stood for, and what we expect in our life. That when we are no more, what are the legacies that we will leave behind? How would we want people to recall our lives? It is very important. How can people remember you when you leave? Is very important. The issue with regards to controversy is normal. Some of us are into it. We will continue to be in it. Some of us are being hated. We will continue to do what we believe in. And that's exactly what Abba has done until his death. And I believe that for the younger ones that are upcoming, this is the time for you to read this book, understand what Abba stood for, and then try to inculcate into you these principles. There's nowhere you can find an institution where they teach you how to be honest, how to endure integrity. There's nowhere. I don't believe there's a school that teaches integrity. But it is how you mirror yourself against other people that you begin to build your own principles. Today in Nigeria, we have come to believe that anything goes. But I want to tell you that there are people of character, people of integrity, and people that believe that the right thing must be done no matter what. And that's Abba before he passed away. May I, at this juncture, I had a written script, but I don't think I need to read that because the professor has done so much about who Abba is. So I felt I should just summarize my good friend and not take so much time, but eulogize him and pray that God in his infinite mercy will forgive his wrongdoings, and may Al-Jannah Firdausi be his place of abode in the hereafter. May the family of Abba also march forward, march ahead, take up the mantle, and ensure that their father's past is not forgotten. It is left for us, those who are still alive and know who Abba is, to help and mentor the young ones that Abba left behind. We are going to work with you shoulder to shoulder. We will be around to advise you. So you have not lost a father because we are still around. We will do everything we can to make sure that you strive and prosper by God's grace. With this, may I take this opportunity to thank the organizers, the author, and most especially the family that decided that this is an occasion that we need to hold in respect of one of us, that is Malam Abba. May his soul rest in peace. Thank you very much.
Stand on the already existing protocol. Actually, the chief of the naval staff directed me to represent him, and he didn't mandate me to give any speech So the only thing I will say is that at the appropriate time when the book is being launched, he only directed me to pick some copies, which of course I will announce at that time. But the only thing I will just mention is that the late chief of staff is somebody I knew from afar. I don't think I've met him before, but I think he lived a very good life based on the testimonies I'm hearing today. And I'll make bold to say that I really like the song Nuruddin when it came, the way he spoke, and that shows that the late chief of staff believed in education. And I'm sure he has really ensured that all his children went to school. I think that's something that picked when Nuruddin was speaking. So on behalf of the Nigerian Navy, I want to wish the family well. I want to condole with you and to say that in the soul of the late chief of staff, Abba Kyari, rest in perfect peace.
This occasion, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to welcome all of you to this very important occasion. Very important because we are looking at the life of a statesman posthumously. We have very many distinguished Nigerians here in this hall, and it's our responsibility to provide this platform for this particular book launch. I want to enjoin all of you to, with the presence of your minds, digest the content of this book so that the life and times of the late Abba Kyari can be put in correct perspective. Thank you very much and welcome to this occasion.
Very, very fast pace. As many of you here knew my father very closely, I would also like to thank you for all the supports you gave him, not only after his passing, but during his time in office, while working for a better Nigeria. As time goes on, more stories will come out of how he dedicated his life for the country to move forward. And thank you again, once again, for attending the event. And we can all look to him and his experience for a lesson in being dedicated to a cause and actually having a reason to get up every day and sticking by the right thing and helping one another around us. So thank you once again everyone for attending, and have a good day. Thank you very much.
Launch. A couple of years ago when I went to the UK, I remember vividly my dad said to me, he said, "You are going to a place where those people have told their stories and they have also told our own stories as Africans. And who best to tell your story than yourself?" So with that in mind, we set up an organization to tell our stories as Nigerians, the Nigerian way. That thought process was what inspired writing this book about this patriot who sadly passed away this year. So I would like to welcome everybody once again. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming, and we'll go on to unveil the book now.
You can come back home. And I read it. And I've been reading since that time. When you consider almost all the people that came out here, even our visitation. And I came back after 1 week, my visa expired. So I didn't say that. So that they will feel free. Those of them that want to give us 10 million, 20 million.
As we unveil the book, we are going to buy 10 copies of this book for 5 million.
Thank you very much. On behalf of myself and my company, Alice Group, and our subsidiaries, we'll be taking 20 copies at 5 million.
On behalf of myself, my family, and the children of late Abba Kyari, I pledge 5 million naira for 20 copies. Thank you.
Even though I'm from Abeokuta, I consider myself to be a citizen of Borno State as well as of Nigeria. Abba Kyari was many things. He was, of course, a husband, a father, but he was also an excellent friend. He's one of my best friends, and I honor him. It was a privilege to be the friend of a man of such integrity. Thank you very much. I'm going to make a personal donation from myself of 1 million naira for 5 books. Thank you very much.
I have been directed by the Chief of the Naval Staff to collect 10 copies of this book for an undisclosed amount. Wow. That was the directive I got. Thank you.
I'm picking 5 copies of this book, also 500. Wow. The host today, but I've been mandated by the Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Relations, the distinguished Senator George Akume. He said, for the honor he has for the late Abba Kyari, and for the fact that the author of this text is an indigenous of Benue State, he is purchasing 5 copies of this book for the sum of 1 million naira. Thank you.
Abba Kyari, to most of us, particularly myself, is a dedicated civil servant, as I said, a technocrat, a very disciplined person, a person who was committed to his job, and also very loyal to Mr. President. I feel really honored and also excited to be here to represent the good people of Borno State, particularly His Excellency, the Executive Governor. We have honored not only our son, but a true Nigerian, someone who really served this country very well. And he was a good model of indigenous of Borno State. So I'm really proud to be around. Nigerians should learn from the life of Abba Kyari to be committed, to be loyal, and also very serious with your job. Because as I mentioned earlier on, he served Mr. President very well. So anyone who is in such a position should protect the presidency and also the president. So, and also if you look at his life, you know, he is a very disciplined person. He was a family person as well. You could see his sons and daughters. He trained them very well. So he was there for them as a father and also as a technocrat. He did very well for this country.
By the late Chief of Staff as a patriot and an extraordinary Nigerian who I was opportune to meet sometime last year in London, where I spoke with him. I said, I'm surprised the perception I had, or the perception that has been going around the country about you, seemed not to be true. I could see his resolve, I could see his interest in Nigeria, I could see his passion in nation building. And I said to him, sir, I would like to tell your story, the Nigerian way. I would like to tell your story through our own prism, so that future generations, generation unborn, can pick up your book, you know, in time to come, read about your legacy, what you stand for, the policies you stand for as an individual and for the government that you represent. And so that was what made me involved in the project. It wasn't supposed to be a posthumous book. It was supposed to be a book to celebrate him, but unfortunately he passed during the time I was putting together the book. So I had to add the extra chapters that now talked about his life and times. I'm a researcher, and it's very common if you speak to any researcher, you always struggle to get your materials. You always go check your sources over and over again to be sure that you are quoting someone verbatim or you are representing someone's words
the way they want it. So as a researcher, that was the challenges I had faced, but it wasn't to be unexpected because I've done some books before, so it was something that, I took it in my stride.